I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be attraction triggers and turnoffs. Well, I've got 5 different emails I'm going to go through with you today. 3 of them are from guys and 2 of them are from women. But before we get into it, I've got a good quote that's really important with what we're going to be going through, because I really go into the difference between masculine and feminine energy and the characteristics of each, as well as the behaviors. It says, an understanding of masculine and feminine energy is essential to creating and maintaining attraction during dating and extending into relationships. Masculine energy tends to be more purpose, mission, goal, strength, leadership, decisiveness, and accomplishment focused. Feminine energy tends to be more focused on connecting, bonding, relationships, commitments, receiving, uncertainty, submissiveness, feelings, and following. When either a man or woman acts in ways that are not consistent with their natural essence, it tends to lessen sexual attraction and repel members of the opposite sex. Well, let's get in the first email. This one's from a guy, and I did a phone session with him, I think about a week or so ago. He says, "Hey, Coach, I had a Skype chat with you last week, and I told you about a girl that I was seeing from another city. After she went cold on me and not speaking for a week, she dumped me by saying that she felt we were too far apart and distant, etc. I followed your video and book advice and backed off and didn't contact her. When she contacted me via text a week later, I told her the standard, 'Hey, I really want to see you. We had a great time last time we were together and I really like you, but I don't want to be just friends. Call me when you want to see me again.' She ended up texting me back, 'Tell me the next time you are in my country,' and that's basically what she said. And then he says, and then she confirmed via Facebook that I received her message. So she's reaching out on social media as well to make sure you received her text. That means that she's really concerned about it, that she wants you to know that she'd like to see you." He says, "A few days later, the day that you and I had our Skype session, she wished me a happy birthday and I had a small chat with her, how work is, etc. I kept the conversation short and organized to see her next time I am in her country. She replied in a very positive way, 'Yes, I'll be free then, and of course we will see each other.'" Well, that's obviously a good thing. I don't know if he did say whether it was made definite plans or just, "Hey, next time I'm in your country, I'd like to see you." But the key is, in that situation, unless, of course, you don't know when you're going to be in her country again, but at the end of the day, like if you know you're going to be someplace, you say, "Hey, I'm not sure when I'm going to be there, but I'll get in touch with you as I get closer to the date, and we can definitely plan something then." And then, a week or 2 before you actually come to her country, you say, "Hey, I'm going to be in town on such and such dates. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together?" What I just said is specifically how you want to say it to her. He says, "At this point, I thought I had her. The next evening at 11 p.m., she contacted me asking me what kind of presentation I was going to be doing when I'm visiting her country the next time. He says, I happened to leave my phone at work that night, so I messaged her back in the morning when I got to work, 'Hey, it's a secret,' with a little smiley face and a wink. Then I wrote, 'Just kidding, it's a seminar with a professor.' Then she replied, 'Nice.' There's really nothing to do at that point. I mean, you either have plans set up or you're going to see her in a few weeks, so you'll get in touch, a week or 2 before you actually go visit to make some definite plans. Just like I said a minute ago, using those words. 'Hey, I'm going to be in town next week,' or 'I'm going to be in town the 25th through the 30th, and I'd really love to see you. When are you free to get together?' Because when you phrase it like that, it presupposes that of course she wants to see you. Of course she's going to make time for you. Because this is always what happens when girls who like you know that you're coming to visit. They will make themselves available to you. In other words, the way I phrase it, there's no doubt, there's no, I don't know, hopefully you'll want to see me, hopefully you can make time in your schedule. It's just, you presuppose they want to see you. And you act accordingly. Act as if. Think from the end, always. Remember, that's what James Bond, that's what he always does. No matter what a woman says, no matter how much she protests or says, "There's no way you're getting in my pants," he always has that boyish smirk because he knows how it's going to end. Why? Because that's how it always ends. Why? Because he's James Bond. That's just the way it goes. He says, "As I was quite busy that day at work, I didn't reply anything back. I figured she just wanted that info to tell her friends or something. I didn't think it was a big deal. Anyway, a week has passed and I haven't gotten any text from her apart from a Facebook like when I posted something about going to another country in Europe, and I reciprocated by liking her photo with her small cousin a few days later. See, what's happened is you're going to visit and you're thinking that she's going to be calling and texting you every day. That's not the case. This is still you being impatient. This is still the neediness and the illusion of action that you have to actually do something. Well, she knows that you're coming to visit. She's not your girlfriend, and there's no reason to be reaching out to her, contacting her. And it's nice that she liked something on Facebook of yours. That shows that she's monitoring you on social media and seeing what you're up to. But you going and liking her photos is just another way to pursue, because in your mind you think, well, I have to do something to make her like me more. But you doing too much is actually what got you dumped in the first place. And I know we talked about this in the call, but this is what happens. It's like you start doubting yourself. You start wondering, oh, she's not going to like me. It's not going to work out, because that's your belief, because you're not thinking from the end. You're thinking, oh, it probably won't work out, because as we discussed in the phone session, those are some of the limiting beliefs that you have. So the key is to act as if. He says, I also noticed she's been going out that weekend, and her friend posted pictures of them hugging some guys, and they were discussing in the comments how cute one of them is and how something happened. It seems like an inside joke or something, or an indication that someone hooked up with someone. It's none of your fucking business. She ain't your girlfriend anymore, and you shouldn't be stalking her on social media anyways, and that's part of the problem. You're in this fear of loss kind of mentality. She already said she'd love to see you. She pursued you. She initiated it. You told her you're definitely going to get together when you come to visit next time. He says the Facebook conversation involves the guys too and our other friends, so I don't think it's a setup or anything like that. Remember the quote that I shared? Feminine energy tends to be uncertain, and you're acting uncertain. So in essence, you're in your feminine right now, and this is part of the problem. And it's key to go back and, because I'm going to post that quote obviously on the actual article page of my website, but to really get to understand which behaviors are masculine and which behaviors are feminine, so you can apply that to what you're thinking or not thinking about doing and saying. Because if you do things and you say things that are really feminine kind of qualities, that's going to cause her to back up and lose attraction for you. He says, I have the feeling that she met another guy in the meantime and had me as a backup, which she no longer needs. Again, more doubting the future, more uncertainty. This is more feminine energy here. He says, this is just my vibe. It could be paranoia. You're definitely a little paranoid, but you're thinking like a woman instead of a man right now. A man wouldn't give a shit. He knows he's going to be going to Belgrade, and whether or not he sees her, who fucking cares? If you see her, it's a bonus. And if you don't, maybe you'll meet somebody else. That's the way you need to think. That's how James Bond would think. He says, thing is, I organized to meet her in her country on the 27th of November, so I'm unsure how to act now. Well, obviously, now I can tell that you definitely have definite plans to meet up with her. There's nothing to do. You don't need to pursue her. You have definite plans. That's only, three and a half weeks away at this particular point. But I'm unsure of how to act. You have a date with her. Go about your life. Meet other women. Hang out, have some fun, and hook up in your own country. And then if you get to see her, if she keeps the plans that you have with her, awesome. It's a bonus. It's like the cherry on top. It's the icing on the cake. He says, however, I feel that if I contact her confirming that, she will see me and I will only seem weak or get rejected again. Exactly. Because feminine energy is uncertain of itself. Masculine energy is certain. You have a date, so therefore you should be certain. But if you start acting uncertain and start reaching out to her like a woman would, it's going to ruin the sexual polarity and turn her off. Perhaps I went overboard with being too cold to her for not replying to her nice message. Absolutely not. The conversation ended. There was nothing for you to say to her. Remember, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. She knows you're coming to town. You're going to see her on the 27th. And there's no reason for you to call or text. That will facilitate her being unsure of yourself. Remember, feminine energy is uncertain. Masculine energy is certain. And so therefore, in the 2 to 3 weeks leading up to you actually coming to visit, when she really starts to wonder, hey, just want to see how you're doing, making sure you're still coming to see me on the 27th. Absolutely, baby. Wouldn't miss it for the world. I look forward to it. That's how you respond to that. He says, what do you think I should do now? Abso-fucking-lutely nothing. He says, I have a feeling she might cancel on me last minute when I go to her country either way. Well, if you keep thinking like that, remember, what you focus on tends to expand. You're acting totally in your feminine right now. You're not acting like a man would act. You have a date with her. Who cares if she cancels it? It's her fucking loss if she does that. But I promise you, if you keep running around in circles like a dog chasing its tail and thinking and being fearful and feeling like you have to do something, there's a pretty good chance she will cancel on you. He says, I feel like I got dumped twice right now, and perhaps I should have not played it so cool. Actually, you did everything perfect until you started liking her Facebook texts. Or maybe she just had me as a backup all the time, and now things are going well with some other guys, she has ditched me. Remember, 97% of the guys out there, they don't know this shit. So who fucking cares? You got to let it go, and you got to stop worrying about it, dude. There's things that you can control in life, and there's things that you can't. And her hooking up with another guy, there's nothing you can do about that. It's totally out of your control because it's totally up to her free will and how good or how bad this other particular guy is with women. Remember, 97% of them don't get it. So there's a really good chance by the time you actually go visit her, he will have fucked up anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. So let's move on to the next email. This is from a woman. She says, hey, Coach, I'm seeing a new guy for about 2 months now, and we'll call him Jim Guy. When we first met, we went on a couple of dates, and the attraction was high. My emotionally abusive ex had also just recently popped back into the picture. I was honest with both of them and let them both know I was hanging out with both. Not sex, just feeling things out. My ex has been seeking help, and I have been there to help him through a lot of his issues. Apparently, I hadn't felt like I had learned enough lessons with him on and off for 4 years that I figured he could change. Well, maybe you just wanted to be extra sure. And plus, more than likely, the other guy that you just started dating wasn't really acting that strong anyways. And so therefore, you're just naturally going to be attracted to whoever acts more certain and sure of himself. Whoever acts the most masculine is who you're going to be most attracted to. Remember the quote that I shared in the beginning of the video. I told Jim Guy that I wasn't going to talk to him anymore because I wanted to give this relationship one more chance, as he professed his undying love for me, and I am the only girl he's ever loved. That's definitely feminine. He's totally unsure of himself, totally being submissive there, and acting like he's got nothing else going on in his personal life. In other words, he's not acting like he's much of a catch. And so therefore, she has no choice but to agree with him. Hey, I'm going back to the emotionally abusive ex because you're acting like a boy and he at least acts like a man. At least for now he is. Long story short, it didn't work with the ex. He idealized and devalued and dumped me. I went running back into Jim Guy's arms, not necessarily for a relationship, more or less. I enjoyed his company, and he was over the top sweet. I really like him. Then after, this is what's so beautiful about, now you get to see the other side of it from a woman's perspective of what she sees when a guy exhibits the behaviors what we talk about so often in these videos. Then after a week of seeing one another, Jim Guy starts talking about our future, how he loves me, wants to move in together, all making me feel really uncomfortable. Remember my article, Women Want to Feel Safe and Comfortable? He's in essence acting like a woman. He's acting like women did in movies from 30, 40, 50 years ago, which is why it's a total turnoff, because what you see in movies today is totally flipped. The guys act like pussies and the women act like men. She says, I told him he needs to chill out and back off, but he tells me he loves me like 15 times a day. He tells me he doesn't feel good enough for me. Feminine energy is uncertain, and he's acting totally feminine. That I'm going to leave him because I'm going to get bored. Obviously, he basically says, I feel that... She says that he feels that I'm going to leave him because I'm going to get bored. Well, it's obvious you're already getting bored. Because he's not acting like he's an equal. He doesn't act like he deserves to be there. My ex is a multimillionaire, and Jim Guy is only just starting to get his life together. I think he's really intimidated by that fact, but he doesn't see that. I like him, and I'm hanging out with him, so none of that should matter. Attraction is not a choice, and here you have a woman confirming that. She just likes him because she likes him. But yet he's doing and saying things to literally talk her right out of liking him. He tells me how much he loves me and needs me. And look what she says, which is a real turnoff because it is so constant. Remember, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. It doesn't mean that you're a cold fish. It just means that when she becomes uncertain, she calls you, she texts you, she asks about things and where you feel or what you feel towards her. He tells me I'm cold and distant, but I feel like it's hard to be warm and living when I'm constantly being berated with pressures to hang out or see one another. So in other words, she's in her masculine because he's always in his feminine. I tell him he is super insecure and he needs to just chill out. He says he loves me. Then if I say I'm going out with the girls one night and the next day I'm too hungover to hang out, he gets super weird, freaks out, and then breaks up with me. Well, that sounds really immature. Last night we fought all night because I went out Saturday and wanted to spend Sunday alone, gathering my thoughts and hanging with my mom. You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And obviously she ain't feeling free. Everything this guy is doing, he's acting like a woman and is forcing her to move into her masculine. He works long days and says all Saturday night he was unable to work out, unable to sleep, and the next day he was a disaster at work. He broke up with me late Sunday night. I said, okay, I understand. I don't want to ever cause someone this much pain, and I do not want to be the reason you lose your job. I care about you, but I'm not worth that. He shortly called me back after our talk. I felt sad, but hey, life goes on, right? Anyway, he called me back and was like, please don't leave me. I love you. Please help me. I would be open to a phone session. Well, what I would do if I were you is you just got to say, look, you're acting like a woman, and if you're feeling insecure about it and you're feeling needy, don't call me and don't puke all this shit up on me. I don't want to deal with it. You need to act confident and you need to act certain. You need to act like you deserve to be with me. And all of your behavior, it's a total fucking turnoff. It makes me totally lose my attraction for you. And any woman will feel the same way. So if you want to like not ruin your chance with me, you'll cut out all this bullshit behavior and start acting like a man. And if you can't do that, then maybe it's best that we just part ways, because you're like a yo-yo, and I can't deal with it. Maybe you should go get professional help. Maybe you should go get Coach Corey Wayne to help you. But I mean, you're obviously in the driver's seat and you have all the power. But I would tell him explicitly and logically phrase sentences that a man's logical brain can understand what he specifically needs to do. Now, if he doesn't listen to you and he won't take your advice, then eventually you're going to tire of his bullshit and blow him off. But thanks for the email. It was a great email. So here's, let's get into the third email. This one's from a guy. He says, hey Corey, I got your book and I must say what a great read it is. Very helpful and insightful too. I would, however, like your advice on a specific situation. I'm 34, my wife is 26, and we've been together for 10 years. Since she was 16? And married for just over 2 years. 8 weeks ago, we decided to separate to give ourselves space from each other. What triggered this really was that for the past year or so, she'd been going out with friends every weekend, at least twice, maybe sometimes 3 times a weekend, partying like a rock star. And obviously the reason she's doing that is she's not feeling stimulated and fulfilled at home in your relationship, in your marriage. That tells me you're probably at some point stopped courting her properly. Don't get me wrong, I feel that some time apart in a relationship is almost as important as time together, but this was becoming too much, and whenever I raised the point, it always resulted in an argument. Well, right then and there, men who argue with women don't understand them. That's just the way it is. If you're arguing with her, all you're going to do is drive her away from you because you're not understanding her, and all you end up doing is making her feel hurt and creating distance between the two of you, and that's why she wants to go have her freedom. Because you're basically trying to control her and lock her down so you feel good about yourself in the relationship. You've got to let her come to you. You've got to let her choose you. But instead, it's like every time you get around her, you're like a drama queen because you're acting like a woman. He says, we've spoken since, and she feels like she never had that carefree time where she didn't have to answer or be responsible for anyone else other than herself. That tells me she feels like she's totally lost her freedom by being with you. And that's going to turn off any woman. Since we separated, she's now living with her sister, and I've moved on with my life, playing sports, meeting new people, including girls, something that I've really enjoyed. Awesome, keep doing that. You're getting back to the guy that you were before you met her. While this has been good, I would still like to resolve things with my wife. Well, it takes two. If she's unwilling to do that, then there's really not a whole hell of a lot you can do. We spoke last week, and she knows it is a phase she's going through, her admission. But at this moment in time, she's enjoying this phase and is not considering coming back. That's why you should fucking play ball, hang out, have fun, and hook up with whoever the hell you want. Because that's obviously what she's doing. She's not even living with you. I mean, you guys are in essence broken up, but legally you're still married. And so she's acting like she's single, sowing her oats, having a good time. And that's why you need to get refocused on being the man that you were. Remember, masculine energy is about accomplishing, and you should be focused on accomplishing, making your life fun and happy, taking better care of your body, hanging out, having fun, instead of waiting around and being uncertain and being submissive to her and just waiting for her to come back to you. He says, I'm cool with this at present, but I also do not want this situation to go on for months for obvious reasons. Is there anything I can do apart from what I'm doing now? Focus on yourself. Don't call her. Don't text her. Don't get in touch with her. When she reaches out to you, make a date, hang out, have fun, and hook up with her when she's down for that. Other than that, let her come to you, because it has to be her idea to come back to you and slowly build attraction. And you should just look at her as just another girl that you're hanging out, having fun, and hooking up with, because that's obviously the way she's looking at you. But the way you keep acting, you're trying to lock her down when she's just not emotionally in a place where she wants to be with you. So continue to read the book, and especially learn to apply the communication techniques I talk about in my book. So let's get into the fourth email. This one's from a guy. He says, hey coach, how are you? I'm fucking awesome. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Thank you very much. I just have to say your videos are awesome. I have your book also. They've really helped me in a way that I think, and so thanks a lot. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on a situation I had. I have a friend who's a personal trainer, and every Saturday he holds his sessions in a park, which I had been attending. I met this girl there who I personally think is the most beautiful girl on the planet. It's always nice when you meet a girl you feel that way about. So I went up to her and told her I think she's gorgeous, and I got her number. That's awesome. That's textbook. That's perfect. That shows a lot of confidence. You expressed your sexuality without any apologizing, and you got her number. The only thing that I would have done taking a step further is like, hey, you're gorgeous. You take my breath away. When are you free to meet up for a drink? Make the date on the spot. Because the more steps you put in between making a date, the higher the likelihood that something's going to happen. You're going to do and say something that's going to turn her off. But the more you're confident, the more you go for what you want, she's just not going to be able to say no to that. And that really makes a difference. Like if you're just kind of like borderline, like on a scale of 1 to 10, you're maybe like a 5 in her eyes, so you like barely got a shot. And when you act that way and you make a date on the spot, that's enough to put her over the edge to where it's like, you know, I've never had a guy ask me out that way. That dude expressed a lot of confidence, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and see what happens. I'm going to see if he's a good match for me. I'm going to see if he's good for me. Remember, that's the place that women come from. Are you good for me? We went out a few days later and had an awesome time over drinks. There was a good connection with this girl, and I assumed she had high interest in me because after a little while of chatting, she had her leg resting in mine for almost the whole date. When a woman does that, when she puts her leg over yours, that's when you put your hand on the inside of her thigh and you just lean in and you fucking go over the kiss and you start making out. Hanging out, having fun, hooking up. Make dates in the evening that can lead to sex. She liked you because you came off as really confident by telling her what you thought about her. You were honest, you didn't hold back, you were 100% sexual, and you made a date in a spot. So I thought things were going really well, and after the date, she sat down with me outside and we started chatting again for about another 30 minutes. Then there was a silence and she broke it by saying, for some reason, I'm just looking at you and I can't stop smiling. So I kissed her. Nice job, you went for the kiss. We chatted again and then I kissed her once more to say goodbye. That's why it's always important to make a date either near your place or her place to where you can say, hey, let's get out here and go back to my place and we'll have a glass of champagne. Or would you like to come back to my place and have a glass of champagne with me? She texted me when she got home saying that she had fun, and I said the same. Then we agreed that we should see each other again the following Saturday for the personal training session in the park. Wrong move, dude. You should be making a date to hang out, have fun, and hook up. Just the two of you. Because if you're hanging out and doing a personal training session, it's kind of like a friendship thing. Remember, the whole purpose of a date is to create a fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen. This was on a Tuesday night. I didn't call her or text her to see if she would be the one to contact me. She didn't. The Saturday comes and she acts like nothing happened. Well, you just agreed to see each other. You didn't make a date with her. It's like you started off good, and then you start doing friendship things like, hey, let's go to lunch. Hey, let's meet the personal trainer. It's like saying, hey, let's meet at the gym. That's not a date, dude. She texted me after. I asked her again a week later to see if she was free to hang out, and I got BS, a BS response. So she texted me saying that she wanted to be friends. So I told her I'm not interested, but to give me a call if she changes her mind, and left it at that. I still see her every now and then, as I also teach the same class on Wednesdays. I'm a personal trainer also. I'm just very confused and a bit frustrated because I did the best I could showing her what I wanted and not being afraid about kissing her on the first date, and the fact I've never wanted anyone more than this girl. Well, it tells me you're probably throwing up your feelings all over her on that date. You probably went a little overboard with that and were a little too nice, and at the end of the day, you didn't lead it to a successful conclusion in the bedroom. And then when it came time to make the... And then plus, that same day, on the day of your first date, you're making the second date, but it wasn't really a date. It was just like, hey, I'll see you at the gym kind of thing. Those are the kind of things, like, she obviously was digging you, and she was giving you a shot because you were acting like a man. But I would say more than likely on a scale of 1 to 10, you were probably 5 in her eyes. And so you didn't really have much margin for error there. Now, if she'd have perceived you as like an 8 or a 9, it wouldn't have fucking mattered. It wouldn't have turned her off that much. But this particular girl, when she gave you the let's just be friends speech, you like were barely hanging on, and she was starting to like you. Her attraction was starting to grow, but you fumbled the football by not making a definite date and just agreeing to meet at the gym class. He says, I've given it a rest because I'm not going to waste my time anymore. If there is a chance I could turn this around, please let me know what I could do. Well, I'd say you probably pretty much screwed the pooch on this one, dude. If not, it is what it is. I know that was a long message, and I understand you have a busy schedule, but I really appreciate your opinion on this one. Have an awesome day. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing the email. But like I said, that's why, it's just a few subtle things that you did wrong, but in this particular case, they made all the difference because obviously she really wasn't crazy about you to start with, but because of the way you communicated your sexuality with her, meaning you're gorgeous, and you got her phone number right on the spot, and then you made a date, everything was great. But after that, because you were like kind of still stuck in Mr. Nice Guy mode, you didn't really make a second date. You made, hey, let's just meet up at the park and I'll see you at gym class. It's like, that's just a bad way to go, dude. You're not going to get anywhere when you do that. So let's get into the fifth and final email, and this one's from a woman. She says, hey, Corey, I came across your videos on YouTube, and I find them incredibly insightful and truthful of how women behave and think. I was wondering if you have similar interviews for women on men's nature and signs. Well, you're in luck. I'm presently doing a video on it, and I'm answering your email in it. So she says, the reason why I'm asking because I like a guy, and we both live in London, the UK, who we had obvious chemistry with the second time we met, mainly because it turned out that we had 98% similar interests, which was surreal. It's always nice when that happens, but it's very rare. And he invited me to spend a day out the following weekend. I suspected he had a girlfriend and was wondering why he wasn't inviting her out, as I wasn't interested in getting involved in a love triangle. He said she was in the Ukraine and that it was a long-distance relationship. I asked it purposely because in some way I tried to clarify the situation, whether he was in or out. So you were trying to lock him down to a commitment on only the second date. I mean, the thing you gotta understand is if he has a girlfriend and she's in another country, he's really just looking probably to hook up. And what I would have done if I were you is just hang out, have fun, and hook up with him, and that would have been it. But you got to understand, a dude like that, if he's going to cheat on his girlfriend when she's not around, he's not good relationship material. He's a cheater. But if you want to have a little hookup until you meet somebody that you really dig and who's single and available and unattached, that's another story. But trying to lock a guy down to a commitment, again, this is what you see in the movies from 30, 40, 50 years ago. That's okay when you've been dating for a couple of months, but not on your second date. Remember, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. She says, I have little patience for uncertainty, but I noticed that after my question, all the chemistry disappeared and never reoccurred. We meet sometimes as friends, and I don't feel the butterflies in my stomach, and I don't see the same signs from him. Long gazing at me, smiles, and chemistry. Sense him, but I can't get him out of my head. Could you decode this situation, please, as I'm trying to move on, but can't because I don't understand how chemistry could disappear so quickly, and if it has disappeared permanently, and I'm still not interested in half commitments. Again, focus on hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. Focus on a relationship on the second date, especially when you're with a guy that already has a girlfriend. He's just a dude to hook up with. And I would do nothing. I wouldn't call him. I wouldn't reach out to him. I wouldn't do anything. If he gets in touch with you, say, hey, let's get together. I'd like to see you. And then make a date in the evening that ultimately can lead to sex. And at some point, make a move on the guy. Guys do like that if you just want to hook up with him. But if you're looking for a relationship, this guy is not the right dude. He's not a good relationship candidate. He's a great sex playmate and a friends with benefits. And from everything you share with me, that sounds like that's what he was looking for. But you're looking for a relationship. And since you're focused on a relationship, that's why he's pretty much bounced on you and just kept you in friend zone, because obviously he realizes the more he gets involved with you, the more that you're going to want more. But if you can maintain some control and just understand that he's just a sex playmate or a fuck buddy, then that's the way I would look at it if I were you. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone session. You can do that by going to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions for booking a paid phone or Skype session with me, or you can also do email coaching. And I will talk to you soon.